Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to what will hopefully be a quick show around of the interior for that farmhouse that we recently made. This, by the way, is just the woodcutter's house, and as you can see, I've just decided to put it in right across the street, and I don't think it looks too bad right there. So if you guys are switching over to this map like I've had to do, this may be a good spot for it. Now, honestly, this could serve as just any ordinary house without some of the other things that we have yet to add, such as the wheat fields, or even the barn itself. And speaking of that, I'm not sure if I'm going to put it to the right-hand side or the left, because I believe the wheat field should go somewhere over here. So that being said, I think it might make a bit more sense for the barn to be over on this side as well. But I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on that, and if the barn does happen to go on that side, I'm going to need some ideas for what might fit in over here. But before we head on inside, I'll show you guys around the exterior really quick. So you can see in the little storage area on the left-hand side we have 2 pigs. And if you can see way back in the corner, there's a spot for the water and also a empty barrel of grain. And then, like I said in the previous video, this side has just kind of been converted into a wood storage. And then over on the back, this is just some hay bales in case they ever have some horses. And as you can see, not only on the farmhouse, but on the woodcutter's house too, I've decided to add in some vines or moss to the roof. And then off to the left, you can see this is where I put in my chimney, which on the outside is made of the stone brick, but you'll see later on once we head inside that it's actually iron, just so it looks a bit better with the stove. And also a couple more things before we head inside. You'll see there's a flower pot out front, which is just kind of a mixture of the grass blocks and then trapdoors to represent the actual pot itself. And this, by the way, is just a clothesline. If you're in default, I think I've said this before, but if you just throw some fences up or even iron bars to kind of look like the rope, that should look fine. And then just use some wool blocks for the clothes or cloth, and that shouldn't look too bad either. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it for the exterior. So now we'll go check out the inside. So now moving on to the interior, thankfully this one had quite a bit more space than the woodcutter's house did. And it's actually got even more on the second floor than it did on the first, which is pretty much due to the fact that about half of the first floor has been converted into that storage shed. But down here you'll see we got a great big kitchen, nice big table. And now that I think about it, this might be a pretty cool design for when we do our inn. Maybe have some dividers like this where it's got the plant to add some color and also the little curtain hanging down there. But yeah, the table's a decent size. We had room for chairs on both ends. A decent amount of walking room too, which is nice. Sometimes you kind of get confined down to just one block, which isn't always that pleasant. But over to the left, you'll see there's quite a few cupboards, lots of ingredients, some pots and pans. Those, by the way, are just a picture. So if you have the texture pack, you should have access to that. And then the ingredients over to the right-hand side. Honestly, if you're looking for a replacement for those, I would just say throw an item frame up and put some grass or ingredient-looking things in there, and hopefully it should turn out all right. Oh yeah, and one more thing before we move on, you'll see we have some item frames up here. And as you can tell, I've just thrown some ingredients up top too. Not sure if I really love the look of it just yet, but it is kind of a nice filler for that empty space. Now moving on, you'll see we did have room for a little door back here, and if we actually remove these, there is a bit more space for maybe some kind of a hiding spot, or if you wanted to, you could even dig down and maybe add some kind of a basement. But I think that's really up to personal preference. Now, like I said, we did have quite a bit of space on the first floor, so we had even more room for some more cupboards and drawers, a spot for a chest back here, and even some more things on the wall, which is nice. And I've been trying to do this more and more, but I try to kind of block out the line of sight, so that's why these things are hanging here. And not only that, but they're kind of fitting too, considering this is pretty much still part of the kitchen. And another thing before we head upstairs, if you guys are looking for a replacement for the plate of food, if you're in default or just don't have access to the Conquest mod, I'd say just lay down maybe a stone pressure plate, and that should be the next best thing. But anyways, moving upstairs, I will admit this area is a bit less exciting than the first floor, but we did still have enough room for a few cool things, although we also lost quite a bit due to trying to place in all these walls. Although, speaking of those, they did give us a nice separation between the parents' room, which is this one here, and then also the kids' bedroom. So as you can see, the little bit of extra space really kind of changed up the whole look and theme of this build compared to the last house we did, which, if you saw that one, we only really had room for the one bedroom upstairs, and that was about it. But anyways, for the parents' room, you'll see we've got a few shelves thrown up, some more storage space, and even this closet back here, which is full of supplies that I assume they would have gathered from their own farm. And for this room, that really is about it, aside from a few other decorations on the walls. And then for the kids' bedroom, you'll see we did have room for 2 beds, a bookshelf, some plants, just to kind of lighten up the mood. And then also this little desk over to the right-hand side, which we've got a little card game going on. Although I might steer clear of trying to recreate that one. I think instead it might be more beneficial to just throw up another flower pot or even some kind of a picture on the wall. But as for the vial or potion to the other side of the desk, I kind of imagined maybe one of the kids had some kind of a disorder that wouldn't really allow them to sleep whenever they wanted to, so this is just something they had to drink before going to bed, and maybe it helped them out with that. But that's just me trying to throw some story behind the build, which is something I always like to do. But yeah, guys, that should just about do it for today. If this still wasn't enough room for you, I encourage you to maybe build something up in the attic, because there was still quite a bit of room up there. Although for my build, I just decided to close that off. All that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure and let me know what you thought down in the comments. And as I mentioned earlier, if you guys have any ideas for future builds, I would love to hear those as well. As of now, I'm pretty sure we're going to be doing the barn next, although that could always be subject to change. But once again, guys, thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.